What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy.
What's good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. With the hiring of Aaron Glenn and Darren Mougey, first-time head coach, first-time general manager, we're obviously light on experience, but there should be a steep learning curve that happens here, right? I personally like both candidates, but regardless if you liked one or the other individually, love them as a pair, or disregard either one of them, right? Wanted to go in a different direction, there's a level of support not currently there for either of these guys, which could be a cause for concern. I think when you look at Aaron Glenn, you feel a little bit better because you hear the names from both an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator standpoint that you feel like will help help keep things off of his plate, right? Guys that have either former experience at those positions or guys that have been former head coaches and can really help guide him and let him know what he's going to be doing from an on-field standpoint, putting practices together, game planning, breaking down opponents, you name it, right? With Darren Mougey, it's always harder because the front office, with it being executive, relationship driven and stuff, from our standpoint, unless you're just very tapped in, you don't really have names that you can go out there and just guess would be an ideal fit, or you don't even know what the thought process is, right? With them reporting directly to Woody Johnson in our case, and how much of an appetite he has for investing additional resources into building that out, right? We can't forget, we still have Phil Savage, who I don't know if he returns to his role since he's not going to be interim GM anymore, but who knows if we even keep him on payroll. We don't have Chad Alexander. We don't have Rex Hogan anymore. So Mougey is kind of on his own island right now, right? He doesn't have a confidant in the building. He doesn't have a working relationship with anybody in One Jet Strive right now. So with the report or the rumor that I've seen from Brian Costello, New York Post, he mentioned that Mike Tannenbaum or Rick Spielman could be retained in the front office for the New York Jets after helping out with the search here. And at first it was confusing to me, but I think what we're suggesting here is they would remain with the New York Jets in some kind of senior advisor role, right? Help Darren Mougey out in the same way that Aaron Glenn will hire somebody with former head coach experience on the offensive or defensive side to help guide him, right? This wouldn't mean that they would have any vital say-so in making the final decision or anything of that kind, but I do think it would be a smart move, whether we go with Tannenbaum or we go with Spielman, just from the experience standpoint. Help him understand what he's walking into so it's not just a true trial by fire situation, especially considering he's behind the eight ball, right? You just think about the number of situations he's going to have to try to manage and guide his way through. Aaron Rodgers, the Garrett Wilson potential trade, getting Breece Hall back on track, Jamien Sherwood being a priority free agent for us, CJ Mosley and whatever his contract looks like, potential extensions for Sauce Gardner, for example, right? There's a litany of issues, let alone him figuring out who could be his left-hand, right-hand man, and figuring out who maybe deserves to stay within this New York Jets organization and who needs to continue to be weeded out. So I love the idea. What I will say is, if there's a preference between the two, I probably lean towards Spielman's side, right? Mike Tannenbaum, I was unimpressed really during his tenure. I think he navigated free agency well and figured out what he needed to provide Rex Ryan. But when it came to making sure that you can keep a successful roster going on through the draft or through waiver wire pickups, etc., he just didn't seem to really have his thumb on the pulse, right? A lot of situations where, we were paying premiums for guys, whether that was free agency or through the draft, that never really panned out. And so it was a disappointing end to his tenure. And even when chatting with Dolphins fans, a lot of them, which he was working as a VP of football operations for them, they didn't really think that he brought a ton of value to that organization. If anything, there was a ton of questionable moves that you could say he potentially had influence for with them. So if you are a Dolphins fan, by the way, or a prior Jets fan, let me know your thoughts on Mike Tannenbaum below. And same thing, Vikings with Rick Spielman. Let me know what you think. One of the other things as well is, and this is just kind of more of a step back look, is that when I listen to Mike Tannenbaum on some of his takes, trades, draft, free agency, he has more of the wilder takes that you'll see on the internet, right? And I don't think it's for shock value or anything. I think he legitimately believes in this. And so that aspect of things doesn't provide me a ton of confidence as well. Whereas with Rick Spielman, he still seems like he's in touch with what's going on in the scouting community. You obviously look at his work with us and with the Commanders, and you feel confident about his ability to build those relationships or find relationship pairings that should be able to, have some level of synergy and hit the ground running. So I love that aspect as well, right? If you just look at it in that vacuum, I think that's probably what makes me lean towards Spielman. I would say his history as a GM with the Vikings was a little bit better as well, and I know he ended up getting pushed out ultimately, but it feels, even though there were questionable decisions, more so in the lines of, and not to put him in the same air, but feels more so in the lines of what you've seen from just other figureheads in the NFL, like your, Pete Carroll's, your Bill Belichick's, you name it, where ownership-wise, they just felt like there needed to be a new voice, right? With people turning things over, it just makes a ton of sense timing-wise that they moved on from him. But with that said, let me know what you guys think, because I think both guys have their positives. We talked through Spielman's. I think with Tannenbaum, you like the idea of him being able to rely on everything he's accumulated through building out his 33rd team business, where you have a ton of resources, you have a ton of data, you have a ton of analytics, which both Mougey and Glenn seem to be more willing to use and potentially more innovative about it. And maybe that gives him a bit of an advantage when it comes to setting up and preparing for the draft, right? And kind of giving Mougey a bit of a crutch to lean on. So I don't know. I'm still kind of having mixed feelings about this as a whole, but we definitely need somebody with some veteran experience in that building to help him out. And I just don't know if I see us having an assistant GM hiring announced anytime soon, right? Or whoever a new senior personnel executive would be for us. So let me know what you guys think ultimately. Where do you fall on this? Who's your preference? I'll catch you guys again. Peace.